Hello everyone and welcome back to Obas Trending Gist. Today we are diving deep into the President Tinubu'S highly anticipated Independence Day speech delivered on Nigeria's 65th anniversary. The President's address aimed to inspire optimism, highlighting key achievements of his administration since 2023. While also acknowledging the nation's struggle, he spoke of a brighter future and dividend of democracy under the renewed hope agenda. But as always, our analysts have been busy dissecting the speech and their variant perspective of whether the nation is truly turning the corner. Stay with us as we unpack the details, so sit back and take a watch.
All right, just before we take on our other stories this morning, Dr. Abati, Rufai, I see us all in green. It symbolizes one thing. It's Independence Day, 65th anniversary. The president's speech, as I'd mentioned earlier, and we will show excerpts of that speech in the course of this morning's show. But he talked about the labor of our heroes past, paying tribute to those who made independence possible for Nigeria. Beyond that, he also used the opportunity to highlight some of the key achievements of his administration since he was sworn into power in 2023. He was able to highlight, articulate in education. He talked about security efforts whilst admitting some of the challenges that his administration has faced. He also talked about the economy and some of the gains that the hard-hitting reforms he's made have also, have had an impact on Nigeria. But he did say something that the future is brighter now. We've come out of the labor pains. It's perhaps time to now begin to enjoy the dividends of democracy under the renewed hope agenda. Your take on this, or shall I start with you, Rufai, first of all, and then you can share with us your thoughts.
Okay, so he pretty much had like 3 or 4 sections in the speech. The first part was where he talked about our heroes past. Tried to create an historical antecedent of where we're coming from, our founding fathers. The fact that in the 60s we had little secondary schools, I think over 130 or thereabout, and now we have well over 20,000 secondary schools. But the question we should ask is, we have about 20,000 secondary schools. What's the state of those secondary schools? Is it those secondary schools that we have problems with policing effectively? Safe schools is a big ordeal. Secondary schools where Chibok girls were kidnapped. This administration, the APC, came in on the back of advocacy for Chibok girls. 91 Chibok girls are still missing 10 years after APC administration. They called Jonathan all sorts of names for Chibok girls. But APC has been in power 10 years, 91. So when we talk about the fact that we've increased secondary schools, President Tinubu, please, can you bring Chibok girls back home? Because it's a big insecurity challenge. Then he went further to talk about some of the things the administration has achieved. Talked about the dreams of the founding fathers. No, we have not met the dreams of the founding fathers. In fact, if the founding fathers could wake up for their graves, they would cry for Nigeria at 65. We have not met any dream of the founding fathers. In fact, we have disappointed the founding fathers. The likes of Obafemi Awolowo that ramped up education in the southwest through free education. We have disappointed them. Not just free education, quality education. He was spending 1/3 of his budget on education. We have disappointed the founding fathers. Talked about what's achieved. Yes, 4.2% growth. Let's not also forget that the economy was rebased, so the parameters definitely were different. Talked about the fact that we have a net surplus, over 7 trillion in net surplus in trade. Talked about the fact that we are taking more revenue now. 13% revenue to GDP ratio. Yes, but we're also borrowing heavily. 10 years ago, before APC came in, debt was over 10 billion US. Today we are 97 billion. The question is, a lot of people keep asking, what have we done with the money? A lot of corruption. The humanitarian ministry, we've not seen anything as regards it. The humanitarian ministry. You said, yes, we've caught corruption in subsidy, but this government also forgot that after announcing subsidy gone, we paid subsidy for the next 1 year. What is the integrity as regards the refineries? Over 3 billion spent. We can't see refineries working. And that's why sometimes I blame Pegasus. They are running after Dangote. How come they've not held NNPC accountable? Over $3 billion spent on the refinery. So we are talking about corruption. President Tinubu, yes, EFCC is going after those people. Until we recover the full 3 billion spent on those refineries that are not working today, then we'll know that you are fighting corruption. But if we have not done that, we can't move anywhere yet. You talked about the fact that, yes, oh, the foreign ratings agency are already prisoners. Yes, they are prisoners, but already incurring more debts. We still have pending debt of about 4 trillion for the electricity company that say will rise up to 5 trillion. They struggle to buy gas. But you told them that they should go to the debt management office. Debt management office saying they can't even take up to that 4 trillion in debts. You talked about SNEL fund. Yes, student loan, a lot of students are collecting the loan. You talk about conditional cash transfer. With due respect, we would like to see the 8.1 million people that have benefited from the 330 billion conditional cash transfer. In fact, some people have subpoenaed through FOI that they should release those numbers. Because you see, we have a lot of announcements that do not meet reality. You talked about insecurity. Yes, there have been arrests of some leaders, bandit leaders. But we've also seen videos of bandit leaders. Villagers now saying Kabo for bandit leaders when they come to talk about peace. Bandit leaders sit in communities and talk about peace with government officials. We cannot get rid of them. Bandit leaders now hold press conference where they brag that if the military kills them, they will retaliate. All right, we also go ahead. We talk about other things that happen. Look at Kwara yesterday. Okay, I'm doing Kwara. As at yesterday, I've not seen the president's officials give out a statement as regards what's happening. The people are saying that they don't have confidence in the military because the military that was supposed to fight the insecurity of bandits in Kwara, nothing is happening. In fact, a Yoruba group now has issued a statement, I think to United Nations, written a petition to one of these United Nations agencies, talking about genocide of Yoruba because of what is happening in Kwara. People are helpless. Yeah, so we talk about all of this prospect, but there's still a gaping hole. A sizable population in this country, close to over 30 or 40 million, still do open defecation. Rural electrification is still a problem. In 65 years, we've not been able to produce more than close to 10,000 megawatts. We've hovered around 4,000 to 6,000 megawatts. 40 years ago, we were producing about the same megawatts. Electricity came into this country. We started building power plants in 1926-27 when we built Ijora. Today, we can't do 10,000 megawatts. So how do we power an economy where we can't do increased megawatts? So for all of these things, yes, trade surplus, yeah, we have stronger reserves today, 42 billion and everything lasts in 3 years. All of this we have achieved. There's a lot of room that we've not filled out. And that's why I say if the founding fathers look back at us 65 years after, it's a tale of woes. Nigeria should be way ahead of this. Yes, they are doing infrastructure. But a lot of people are asking accountability questions about the infrastructure. The coastal road, we are taking out debts to do. They say Kano Maradi rail line will soon be complete and all of that. Yes, but we're also asking accountability questions as regards this. Then in the end, he ended with hope and trying to encourage Nigerians, things will be better, it's going to be better. But Nigerians are hungry. The Punch did a report yesterday. Do you know the median cost of rents now in Nigeria for 2-bedroom flat is 2.5 million? In the mainland, 2.5 million. In a country where you have minimum of 70,000, how will people be able to pay 2.5 million? Yes, we need to increase. They're going to increase the tax base, with the new tax law and all of that. Part of the tax law was saying that, people that earn about less than $1 million a year. But in a country where people pay 2.5 million for rent, it's even more than the poverty threshold.
All right.
In parts of the country. So when you look at that, there's a lot more that needs to be done. It's not just about talking about hope and everything. Yes, some things have been done, but we need a lot more for this country to be more conducive.
That was quite a critical first half of our discussion, dominated by Rufai Oseni's sharp observation. He didn't mince words, pointing out that while the president celebrated an increase in secondary schools since the 1960s, the quality and safety of these institutions remains a huge question mark. Citing the tragic case of the Chibok girls, Rufai also cast doubt on the economic growth figures, reminding us of the rebased economy and the alarming increase in national debts, questioning where all the borrowed monies have gone amidst ongoing corruption. He further highlighted the lack of transparency regarding conditional cash transfers and the failed state of refineries, concluding that Nigeria's founding fathers will be deeply disappointed with the current tale of woes. It is clear that for Rufai, the gap between official pronouncements and the lived reality of Nigerians is vast and concerning. Let us watch the second part of the video where Dr. Abati brought it down home. Sit back and take a watch.
All right, we need a lot more. Dr. Abati, your take on the president's independence
Okay,
speech.
today is Independence Day. It's also the first day of the month. It's also the day that Arise News is moving to this brand new studio. So it's a day of celebration on three fronts. However, we will recall the subject of Independence Day that on this exact day, 65 years ago, Nigeria became independent at the Tafawa Balewa Square, where the national flag of Nigeria, the green, white, green, was hoisted, and the Union Jack was brought down. Representing the Queen of England, the English monarch on that occasion, was Princess Alexandra of Kent. And you had, becoming the new leader of Nigeria, Prime Minister Tafawa Balewa. The Governor General on that occasion was Nnamdi Azikiwe, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe. And Nigerians, you know, lined up and they celebrated all day, all night. And there was hope. The founding fathers, speaking through Tafawa Balewa, hoped that this would be a great nation, that this would be a nation that would be a model for the rest of Africa. Tafawa Balewa, known as the golden voice of Africa, made those statements about the vision of the leaders. But where are we today? The first way to measure how far we have traveled is to look at other countries that are celebrating their National Day today. They include Germany. Germany at a different year, but October 1 is Independence Day. They include Palau. They include Guinea. They include China, which became independent in 1949. Now, if you look at the other countries, 21 of them, by the way, who share the same Independence Day with Nigeria, you can compare and contrast. Different times, different destinies. Now, to go very quickly to the statement by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu this morning. He said that Nigeria has experienced the good and the bad, and that we have turned the corner. We have survived the worst. Now, not many Nigerians will agree with him. Not many Nigerians will agree with him in terms of Nigeria turning, the corner and triumphing over the worst. He was honest, however, to say that our history in 65 years has been one of the good and the bad. Some people will say, in fact, the ugly. They will add it to it. But he spent the bulk of the statement, after a paragraph devoted to the founding fathers of Nigeria, to talk about the achievements of his administration, specifically what he has done in the, I think this is his fourth or third National Day address, 2023, 2024, now 2025. So it's the third one. So the bulk of the statement is concentrated on what his administration has done. Removal of fuel subsidy, which he says now puts more money in the pockets of the states and the local councils. Now, the money in the pockets of the local councils and the state governments. How about accountability? How about transparency? Do we have more qualitative governance system at those other levels of government? He talked about the foreign exchange regime, how this has also been addressed. Now, to what effect? You will ask that question. He says oil production has increased 2 million barrels per day, he claims, because there's now greater security in that area. He talked about what his administration is doing for the youth of Nigeria, quoting in this regard the NEL Fund and what has been done in that regard. He says his administration is committed to ensuring security, the well-being of the average Nigerian under Section 14 of the Constitution, which is the primary responsibility of government. Now, he talked about fiscal health. He says Nigeria is in a better place in terms of fiscal health under his watch. After all, foreign reserve is said to be over $42 billion. After all, in the Q2, GDP growth is put at 42.3%, far above the IMF projection of 34.3%. He also argued, or he told Nigerians more or less, that look, under his watch, this economy is doing much better, and that Nigerians are far more prosperous than they have ever been. Now, many Nigerians will not agree with that. Many Nigerians will say, well, when Olugbon reigned, we knew what happened. When Aresa reigned, we knew what happened. Now that Tinubu, the Emilokan apostle, is in the saddle, Nigerians are the ones who are in the best position to talk about what they are experiencing. However, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu made the most important part of his broadcast, which is saying he was delivering this morning a message of hope. Now, preaching hope is a Christian eschatological, viewpoint. Leaders, politicians, like priests, always preach hope, optimism. They will always tell you that things will be better. And I think that in that regard, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu struck the right note when he says, well, we have done a lot in terms of energy, we have done a lot in terms of road construction, providing infrastructure generally, but that we will do more with security, with infrastructure. And I think that that's the strongest part of his speech. He paid tribute to the founding fathers of this country. The hopes that I said were expressed by Prime Minister Tafawa Balewa on October 1, 1960. But those dreams, those visions of the founding fathers, have we achieved them? This country has gone through civil war, 1967 to 70. This country has suffered the subjugation, the humiliation, the trauma of military rule. Even if some people say, well, we should not bash the military, because the military, even in retrospect, with the benefit of hindsight, made as much contribution to the growth of this country, even much better than the civilians, who do not seem to know what they are doing over the years. Now, he talked also about the talent of Nigerians, and we can agree in that regard. This is a country of talented people, and this is what we should celebrate. Whether we're talking about Akinwumi Adesina, or we're talking about Wole Soyinka, or we're talking about Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, or we're talking about Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, or we're talking about Anthony Madu, that's his name, or all the Nigerians who are excelling in various aspects of life. So it seems to me that what we should celebrate 65 years after is the resilience of the average Nigerian, the ingenuity of the average Nigerian, the patience and commitment and endurance of the average Nigerian, which I think President Tinubu himself referred to in one phrase. We, the people of Nigeria, we are the ones who have sustained this country by refusing to submit to despair, by refusing to become despondent, by continuing to strive and showing the community of nations that whatever may have been the problem with leadership in this country, appropriately identified by Professor Chinua Achebe and others, the people are resilient. And the people say, whether it's 65th birthday of our becoming independent or 70th birthday, the people of Nigeria will continue to assert themselves and excel. And I think today, it is not government that we should celebrate. It is the people of Nigeria, their commitment to the optimism that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and others, and the priest, Bishop Kuka and all the priests, they talk about optimism. They give us hope. That hope continues to survive because we, the people, believe in this country. It is now the responsibility of government going forward, as President Tinubu has promised, to ensure that the people are not disappointed and government continues to be the government of the people, for the people, and by the people, and not a government of a minority that is committed to conspicuous consumption.
Dr. Abati, in his analysis, provided a more nuanced perspective, albeit still with a critical lens. He began by placing Nigeria's independence within a global historical context, comparing its journey to other nations that gained sovereignty around the same time, while acknowledging President Tinubu's messages of hope and reported improvement in fiscal health and GDP growth. Dr. Abati subtly questioned the actual impact of these figures on the common Nigerian, particularly given the high cost of living and the persistent insecurity. He emphasized that while the president pointed to the resilience and ingenuity of Nigerians, the ultimate responsibility for ensuring the people's well-being and preventing disappointment rests squarely with the government. His concluding remarks underscored the need for genuine people-centric governance, rather than a system serving a minority committed to conspicuous consumption. So my take on this is that President Tinubu's Independence Day speech, like many such addresses, walked a tightrope between showcasing progress and acknowledging persistent challenges. On one hand, the administration clearly wants to project an image of forward momentum with talk of economic growth, increased revenue, and infrastructure development. The emphasis on the renewed hope agenda is a deliberate attempt to instill optimism, especially after a period of significant hardship for many Nigerians. However, the powerful critics from our analysts highlights a crucial disconnect. The statistics and achievements cited often feel distant from the daily struggles of ordinary citizens grappling with inflation, insecurity, and basic necessities. The question surrounding transparency in government spending, the effectiveness of security efforts against banditry, and the quality of essential services like education and power remains largely unanswered in a way that resonates with the populace. It's not enough to say we've turned the corner when so many feel trapped in the same cycle of challenges. Ultimately, the true measure of success for this administration won't be in the speeches, but in the tangible improvement in the lives of Nigerians. As Dr. Abati rightly pointed out, the resilience of the Nigerian people is undeniable, but it should not be taken for granted as a substitute for effective governance. The call for accountability, transparency, and a government truly of the people, for the people, and by the people echoes loudly from this discussion. For Nigerians to truly strive at 65 and beyond, bridging this gap between rhetoric and reality must be the paramount focus. Thank you for joining us on Obas Trending Gist. See you in the next one.